You know, every single time you speak to someone, there is this vicious, completely uncompromising war raging just beneath your skin. I mean, your conscious mind is desperately trying to hold on to control, right? To wear that perfect social mask. But your body is practically begging to spill every one of your secrets. Welcome to today's explainer.
We really do like to think we're the masters of our own emotions. But the actual science of nonverbal behavior paints a much darker picture. We are essentially just hostages to our biology. So today, we're ripping off the masks. We're going to show you exactly how to read what people are desperately trying to hide, and why your own body is literally your absolute worst accomplice when it comes to lying. So let's dive into this, and we're starting in a place where lies didn't matter at all.
Picture this. It's 1967, the incredibly remote highlands of Papua New Guinea. A young American psychologist named Paul Ekman wakes up in a primitive hut to the sudden sensation of warm, sticky blood splashing right across his face. And right above him, a local tribesman is carving open the skull of a recently deceased elder. Now, this was the Fora tribe. They practiced ritualistic cannibalism and had literally never seen an outsider, a movie, or a television screen in their entire lives.
And Ekman, he didn't just stumble into this terrifying primal world by accident. He was hunting for the answer to one fundamental, dangerous question, a question that would actually fracture modern psychology forever. He wanted to know, are our emotions just a cultural habit, a language we pick up, or are they a hardwired, inescapable biological code built into the very fabric of our species?
Which brings us to part one, the universal emotional alphabet. To really get to the truth, Ekman ran this now infamous experiment. He basically told these completely isolated tribesmen a story about a rotting, sun-baked pig carcass, describing a stench so unbearable it literally made you gag.
And their reaction was immediate and chillingly familiar. The wrinkled nose, the raised upper lip, that grimace of pure disgust on the faces of the Fort tribe was an exact, flawless mirror of, say, a New Yorker, a Parisian, or a Tokyo executive reacting to the exact same smell.
The absolute crucial takeaway here is that biology will always, without exception, overpower culture. We are literally born with this universal emotional alphabet already coded right into us.
Exactly. It's driven entirely by our extrapyramidal nervous system and the ancient, primitive limbic brain. You can't just decide not to feel disgust or fear. Your biology launches the program milliseconds before your conscious mind even realizes what's happening.
Part two, betrayal in a fraction. So what actually happens when the stakes are literally life and death? When this ancient biological instinct violently collides with our desperate need to lie? Consider the tragic clinical case of patient Mary. She was a woman suffering from severe depression, yet she somehow managed to convince an entire board of seasoned psychiatrists that she was completely cured. And the doctors, they totally bought her polite, serene smile. They granted her a weekend leave, and she immediately attempted suicide. She actually confessed later that she was coldly, calculatingly lying just to escape their control. But when Ekman's team went back and analyzed the film of Mary's interview frame by frame, they uncovered a literal war raging inside her nervous system.
Right, on one side, you've got the pyramidal tract. This is your conscious, cold, calculated control. It was Mary literally forcing her facial muscles into a serene smile, building the perfect lie. But on the exact opposite side is the extrapyramidal tract, screaming in pure despair. Under extreme emotional load, the primitive brain shatters the armor of the conscious mind. The body simply cannot help but betray the mind.
And you know how long that betrayal took? Exactly 1/25 of a second. Just think about that. For a mere fraction of a heartbeat, right in the pause between telling the doctors how much better she felt, Mary's social mask cracked. Bleeding right through her polite smile was an expression of absolute crushing agony. It's called a microexpression. It's this instantaneous biological leak, entirely invisible to the naked eye in real time, but one that was absolutely screaming the truth. Moving to part three, The evolutionary radar. If our bodies are constantly leaking our darkest secrets in fractions of a second, evolution had to build a radar to catch those leaks, right? Well, it did. It's this incredibly high-stakes phenomenon known as thin slicing. It's basically the brain's superpower to instantly scan the hidden reality of a situation before a person even finishes their sentence. This was brilliantly illustrated in a famous experiment involving Fortune 500 CEOs. People were shown photographs of these ultra-powerful executives for just a fraction of a second. And get this, despite knowing absolutely nothing about business, these ordinary people intuitively, flawlessly rated the CEO's competence. Shockingly, their split-second gut-level ratings statistically matched the actual profitability of the corporations. It's wild. Your primitive brain does this purely to keep you alive. It's rapid-fire survival, instant threat assessment. Is this person a friend or a deadly foe? Hierarchical scanning, who's the alpha in this room, and radical energy saving. It is just far more efficient for your ancient brain to deliver a lightning-fast gut feeling than to waste precious calories on slow logical deductions. But to prove these leaks are truly universal, researchers had to raise the stakes. So Ekman built what he called a punishment booth. It was this claustrophobic room rigged with deafening, unbearable white noise. Participants were given a stark warning. If we catch you in a lie, you're going to spend an hour locked inside. It was specifically designed to trigger pure, primal fear of discovery. And in that terrifying little room, researchers proved their theory. Under the threat of genuine punishment, the exact same biological leaks violently tear their way to the surface in absolutely anyone, regardless of what lie they are trying to sell. Which brings us to part 4, shattering the Hollywood myth. Now, you probably think this all sounds like magic. You might even be picturing yourself right now as one of those brilliant, brooding detectives on a hit TV show, effortlessly dismantling a suspect just because they twitched an eyebrow. Well, brace yourself. We are about to ruthlessly demolish your confidence. 54%. That is the harsh, totally unglamorous reality. A massive meta-analysis of hundreds of studies reveals that the average person can only spot a lie 54% of the time. You could literally flip a coin and be just as accurate. Even elite, highly trained intelligence agents max out at around 73%. So that Hollywood myth of the genius investigator reading a suspect like an open book in 5 seconds, yeah, it's nothing but a beautifully packaged, completely fictional illusion. In fact, let's tear down some of the most popular cliches right now, shall we? Myth number 1. The suspect broke eye contact and touched his nose. It's the Pinocchio effect. He is definitely lying. Biological reality? That is just cognitive load. Lying takes immense brain power. The mind shuts off eye contact simply to free up memory so it can construct the fake story. Okay, myth 2. He crossed his arms. He's being defensive, closed off. He's totally hiding the truth. Reality? He's just cold. Or it's an unconscious self-soothing mechanism, a literal attempt to lower his heart rate by giving his own body a physical embrace.
Right. And myth 3. He just cleared his throat. Got him.
Wrong again. That is just basic autonomic nervous system stress. A sudden surge of adrenaline dries out the mouth, and honestly, that anxiety could be triggered by absolutely anything. Believing in these cheap TV tricks leads straight into the most devastating psychological trap in human communication, the Othello Error.
It is a profound, almost Shakespearean tragedy. You see someone sweating, trembling, and you instantly accuse them of lying. But in reality, you are looking at an entirely honest person whose stress is fueled purely by the terrifying realization that you just don't believe them. Trying to play Sherlock Holmes with a checklist of body language myths won't uncover the truth. It'll just destroy the people you love.
Part 5. Quiet signals and hidden masks. Let's explore how this biology actually collides with social filters, particularly the paradox of traditional masculinity. Men are so often culturally conditioned to view vulnerability as a weakness, forcing them to lock their emotions behind this cold, impenetrable mask.
But remember, you can never truly cheat biology. The emotion doesn't just vanish just because you ordered your face to stay blank. That dark, suppressed, violent energy absolutely demands a physical outlet, and it finds one on the very edges of the body, through what we call quiet signals.
When the mask is perfect, you have to hunt in the shadows. Look for microtension in the jaw. The masseter muscles are almost always the first to betray suppressed rage.
Or listen for a sudden, unexplained shift in the tempo of their speech, even when their face remains completely motionless. And crucially, watch the periphery, the unconscious repositioning of hands and feet. These are the exact places the conscious mind forgets to police.
Former FBI counterintelligence agent Joe Navarro summarized this with a chillingly brilliant insight. He said, "The feet are more honest than the smile."
It makes perfect sense. From the time we are toddlers, society trains us to lie with our faces, to smile when we are absolutely miserable, but nobody ever trains the feet. A person can flash you the most dazzling, convincing smile in the world, but if their feet are angled toward the door, their limbic system has already made the decision to flee. Their body has literally already left the room.
So here it is, the 5 steps to truth. How do we navigate this biological minefield without destroying trust? Well, modern behavioral science offers an elite, systematic protocol. And look, this isn't about 5-second parlor tricks. This is the real algorithm of conscious observation. Step 1, establish a baseline. You absolutely have to know how someone behaves when they are completely at ease. A deviation only matters if you know what their normal is.
Step 2. Hunt for clusters. A single gesture on its own is utterly meaningless. You need a constellation of data. Think a clenched jaw, plus a vocal shift, plus a literal step back.
Step 3, focus on the periphery. Stop staring directly into their eyes. The truth is hiding in the tension of their hands and the angle of their feet.
Step 4. Detect the desync. Look for the friction between their mind and their body. Like they are confidently saying yes, but their shoulders are stiffly pulling away.
And finally, step 5, acknowledge your limits. You might successfully spot the flash of fear or the shadow of pain, but without their words, you are never going to truly know what caused it. Real mastery over this biological code requires the absolute silence of your own ego. The human body is truly incapable of pure deception, but it whispers its secrets incredibly softly, suffocating under the heavy, polished weight of our social masks. And now that you know the code, ask yourself a highly uncomfortable question. The last time you looked at someone you love, how many quiet signals did you completely ignore just because their polite smile was easier for you to accept?
The next time someone looks you dead in the eye and swears that everything is perfectly fine, look at their feet. Until next time.